Hello, I'm Seema and welcome to part 2 of the chapter Thermodynamics. In part 1, I introduced the concept of system and surroundings to you. Let us now focus a little more on that system. How do we describe that system? How do we understand that system in terms of thermodynamics? You must have studied in physics that when you have a system that is a mechanical system, how do you describe a mechanical system in physics? You take point masses, and for each and every point mass that the mechanical system has, you describe it with the help of its position and its velocity. So you can describe a mechanical system by describing the position and velocity of point masses in the system. But when you're talking of a thermodynamic system, a system where energy exchanges are taking place, you have to describe the system in a different way. You cannot take molecules or atoms and start describing the positions and velocities of atoms or molecules, because that's not going to help us with understanding the exchange of energy that is taking place or the changes in energy that are taking place in the process. So for this, the system in thermodynamics is usually explained or understood in terms of certain bulk properties. When I say bulk properties, I would like to remind you of the previous chapter that we did, where we did the states of matter, and I told you about the gaseous state, and I said that a gaseous state can be described in terms of its temperature, in terms of volume, in terms of pressure, and the fourth variable was the number of moles. So now when you vary any of these, you find that the physical state of the substance can be changed. So if you imagine the physical state, a certain substance, that is your area of focus, that becomes the system. So if you change any of these variables, you can change the physical state of that substance. We did that in the liquefaction of gases. So what are these variables? And how does the state of the system depend on these variables? How do we describe them? These variables which cause a change in the state of the system, they are known as state variables. Or we would say that you can describe the state of a system with the help of these functions or these properties which are known as the state functions. Now remember, in the case of thermodynamics, these are not point masses or point molecules or atoms that we are talking of. We are talking of properties which are bulk properties. Let me just read this out for you now. The state of a thermodynamic system is described by its measurable macroscopic or bulk properties. Now when you talk of point masses, you're talking of microscopic properties. We're not concerned about the atom or the molecule, exactly where it is or where is it running. We are not really concerned about individual atoms and molecules. So when we say the bulk properties, we are talking of properties in the macroscopic term. That is the properties of all the system or all the molecules in the system as a whole. So we say by its measurable macroscopic or bulk properties, and we specify the state of a system by state functions or by state variables. State functions or state variables. State functions are the functions or properties on which the state depends or on the basis of which you can describe a state, and state variables are basically the same properties which vary and cause the state to be a specific state of the system. So state functions or state variables. Now what is so important about these state variables? How do you choose those bulk properties which would be the state variables or the state functions? The properties which do not depend on the path of the reaction. That is, they do not depend on, for example, you have a substance and you're raising its temperature from T1 to T2. It does not matter whether you took the temperature directly from T1 to T2, which is a higher temperature, or you went from T1 to a lower temperature, T0, and then you brought it up to T3, and then you brought it up to T2. Or maybe you took it down, took it above, and then came back to T2. However was your path, whether you reached point A to point B directly, or you reached point A to point B, or state A to state B indirectly. This function is fixed for that point and this point. So such a function, which we said because they're state variables, I'll read it out again. The state of a thermodynamic system is described by its measurable macroscopic or bulk properties. We specify the state of the system by state functions or state variables like pressure, temperature, volume, because their values depend only on that particular state and not how it is reached. It does not matter how that state is reached. But for that particular state, the values of the variables would be fixed. So in order to completely define the state of a system, it is necessary to define only some of these properties, the state functions. The rest automatically get fixed. For example, imagine that at 100 degrees Celsius and at 1 atmospheric pressure, we have, or at 101 degrees Celsius and 1 atmospheric pressure, what would the physical state of water be? We know the physical state of water would be in the gaseous state if it is present at 101 degrees Celsius at atmospheric pressure, 1 atmospheric pressure, because at 1 atmospheric pressure and 100 degrees Celsius is the boiling point of water. Above this temperature, water is present as a gas. So we can describe all the variables need not be known. If you know just a few of them, the rest of them automatically fall into place. They automatically have fixed values. So this was the temperature, volume and pressure, because their values depend only on the state and not how it is reached. In order to completely define the state of a system, it is not necessary to define all the properties. You could make do with a few and the rest automatically would take their places. Now, in addition to temperature, volume, pressure, in thermodynamics, we would be studying certain state functions like the internal energy and enthalpy. Let me just introduce internal energy to you. When we talk of energy, what is the kind of energy, internal energy I have? I have energy in the form of food. I have energy in the form of ATP in my body. I have energy in the form of heat which is being radiated by my body. So what is my internal energy? My internal energy is a sum total of all these energies. I did some physical exercise, and when I did that physical exercise, it resulted in the increase of or radiation of heat or burning of calories. So it was work that I was doing and which was causing a release of energy from my body. So we find that internal energy at any instant for a system would be the sum total of all kinds of energies that are present in it. This energy may be electrical energy, it may be mechanical energy, it may be chemical energy, whatever is or it may be heat energy. The sum total of all the energies they would together form the internal energy of a system. And this internal energy is a state function. Now let me just read the definition. Internal energy is a quantity that represents the total energy of the system. It may be chemical, it may be electrical, it may be mechanical, or it may be of any other type. Now again, why is it a state function? It does not matter how the internal energy was achieved, whether by doing work or by eating food or by how I got that energy from A to point B is not important. What is important is that at one particular point, this was my total internal energy, and at another particular point, my total internal energy of the system, that is me, is this much. So, at any other electrical, mechanical or any other type of energy of the system, the sum total of all these constitutes internal energy, and the symbol or the sign that is used for internal energy is a capital U. So internal energy U. Internal energy of a system changes. When would it change? There are three possibilities or three possible ways how the internal energy of a system can be changed. The first is that heat passes in or out of the system. You give heat to the system, it gets warmer. You take off heat from the system, it gets cooler. So you can cause the internal energy to change by an exchange of heat. The second way of changing internal energy is, as I told you, if I start exercising. It is work. Either the work is being done by the system or work is being done on the system. Either way, the internal energy of the system would change. You can bring about the change by either the system working or something working on the system. When something works on the system, the energy of the system goes up. And when the system is doing work, its energy goes down. Take it always as yourself. If someone is working on me, if there's something being done for me, my energy would increase. But if I have to slog and work, I'm losing energy. So the internal energy can go up or come down by an exchange of work too. And the third way how internal energy can change would be when matter enters or leaves the system. That is when I eat food, or when I exhale and I give out matter, or I take in matter, and there are other ways of doing it too. So this was internal energy as a state function or a state variable. In the next video, I'm going to take up internal energy in details and explain this as a state function to you. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, recommend it to your friends, and please keep returning for more videos in chemistry. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye for now.